Hello, and welcome to the Pen Prescription. I'm Dr. Chris. I'm a double board certified physician, a mom, and a fountain pen enthusiast. Today, we're going to take a look at the Magna Carta Mag 600 fountain pen with the modern flex nib. All materials seen in this video were purchased using my own private funds, and all opinions expressed here are my own. As a disclaimer, none of the advice given on this channel is intended for medical use. And all right, let's go ahead and get started. Take a look at this pen. All right, let's take a look at the Magna Carta Mag 600 fountain pen, which comes in a pretty standard black paper box with the logo, Magna Carta's logo, and their emblem printed there in gold, and some information on the back of the box there. And you take the sleeve off, and here's the box inside. My box, as you can see, has sort of a defect in the paper of the box. I think this is not the highest quality box I've ever seen in my life, but that's okay. We don't buy the pens for their boxes. So take that off. Inside we have the warranty card. I'm not really sure what the purpose of these is. You know, I mean, they always come totally blank. You know, it says like dealer stamp, but like what dealer has a stamp these days? And are you supposed to fill it out? Is the vendor supposed to fill it out? I don't really know. Anytime I've ever had to use the warranty information on a pen, I've just had to like print off the receipt and send that with it. So whatever, is what it is. Sort of a sidetrack there. And then here's the pen itself, and then there's nothing, this floor of this box does not come out, so that's all that's included. So here we have the pen itself. This is the Magna Carta Mag 600 fountain pen, which typically comes in black, period. And this pen, as you can see, is not black. This is a red and gold resin, which was a Goulet Pens exclusive, which I purchased, I think, in about December. And they had two colors at that time. They had this red and gold, and then a similar green and gold. So those were a couple exclusives that they had, and I thought this was a little more fun than black, so I scooped one up. I think they only made about 50 of each color, and they have since sold out. So if you want this pen now, as far as I know, you're going to get it in black. That being said, the black pen is made of ebonite, which is nice, and it has obviously gold trim appointments here, so that's you know, it's a classy looking pen. I paid $350 for this pen, and the black ebonite version retails for $350 as well, so nothing different there. It has a screw cap, which takes 2 turns to get on and off. I will say there's no fancy closing mechanism on this pen. You know, it just kind of screws open and close. There's no spring cap. There's, you know, nothing fancy for closure that you can feel, no mechanism or anything. And then you can see the cap band here has Magna Carta engraved on it there. And then on the back side, the Magna Carta emblem once again is there. The clip on the pen, if you can kind of see it in side view here, is a ball, you know, ball on the end, similar to how Pilot does some of theirs, sort of aesthetically similar to Pilot. I'm thinking of the Custom 74, I think, has this type of clip on it. So anyway, take the cap off. I will note that this cap is not postable. You cannot post this pen. And there's the nib. This pen comes with a 14 karat gold flex nib, which they call a true flex nib, and that is the only nib that this pen comes with. There's no other sizes or things to choose from. That's it. Sorry, there's a little bit of blue ink on my nib here, and you can hopefully see the Magna Carta emblem engraved on there, on the nib, which is nice. And then it has an ebonite feed. So it comes with a nice ebonite feed. You can see the grip section here tapers down. So you've got the threads from the cap, which I did not find to be obtrusive, and then the grip tapers down and then flares once again at the end to keep your fingers from slipping off the end of the pen. So again, I have surgical glove size 6.5 pen, surgical glove size 6.5 hands, so fairly average size hands for a woman. So this is how you would be writing with it, and again, this pen is not postable, so this is how you would be writing with it. The pen also tapers on the back end here a little bit, so I was a little surprised that this pen doesn't post, but it doesn't. because there is a little taper here. There's nothing fancy going on the finials. Nothing, there's no finials or anything on the ends. So that's kind of it. It's a pretty big pen. It's 149.6 millimeters when it's closed, or 5.9 inches. And it's 14.5 millimeters diameter on the body and 10.5 millimeters diameter on the grip section. This pen weighs 27 grams, and that's 12 grams for the cap and 15 grams for the body. And those measurements, those weights are of the ebonite version of this pen, not the resin version that I have, the ebonite version. I'm not sure what the difference in weight is, but this pen is certainly very light, particularly for its size. Speaking of its size, let's look at some size comparisons. All right, so there is the Magna Carta Mag 600. We'll get out a couple common pens here. So there's a Lamy Safari, and there is a Pilot Metropolitan. You can see how much larger than either of those pens the Mag 600 is. And just for funsies, there's another one, the Parker 51. So again, the Mag 600, it dwarfs these pens basically. And then a couple other large pens from my collection. Here's Visconti Homo sapiens, which is considered sort of a larger pen. And here is a Bennu Euphoria, which is also a larger pen. So you can see the Mag 600 is actually bigger than either of these pens, although it's not a ton bigger than the Bennu Euphoria. So somewhat similar to the Bennu Euphoria, but certainly dwarfs, oh, well, maybe not dwarfs, but it's significantly bigger than the Visconti Homo sapiens. And the reason I bring that up is because I found this pen to be too big to use in my usual pen case, which is a Galen leather zippered pen case. That's what I usually use. So when I was carrying this pen around, I actually used this pen case that I have, which is just sort of a padded cloth tweed 3-pen case that I got off of Etsy a while ago. From the shop is called Life Covers. I don't know if they're still around or not, but if they are, highly recommend. It's a very nice pen case. So, I used this pen case when I carried this around because it is a flap closure. It allowed for a little more play in the length of the pen. But I will say when I carry smaller pens around in here, the flap does come down farther. But this was kind of my solution for carrying around this larger pen, and so that worked fine. But it just, if that would be something that bothers you, something to consider, this pen may not fit in your usual carrying case. So that being said, let's do a writing sample. So as far as the writing experience goes, I can tell you that the very first time I put this nib to paper, my instant reaction was, whoa. The nib flexes, and I mean tines springing apart with essentially no effort at all, and it was clear that this is something different. Now, it's not a smooth writing experience per se, as I do feel there is some tooth, like you can feel the tines, which maybe shouldn't be surprising. It doesn't bother me. Once I realized that this is just kind of how it feels and that nothing's wrong, it didn't bother me. At first I was a little annoyed or concerned by it. But again, it kind of makes sense that you'd feel these tines as they are significantly separating with every stroke. The line variation is totally bonkers, that's for certain. All in all, I do think it makes my handwriting look messier than it usually does, which I didn't love. But maybe that's an issue with my print, because I don't write in cursive, or maybe it would improve with more practice. I've been using this pen for about 2 weeks. The biggest glaring issue that I had with this pen is skipping, railroading, hard starting. Not so much hard starting. I would say between uses, the pen actually starts pretty reliably most of the time. But this pen just seems like it is dumping ink to the point that the feed system just cannot keep up. And so it periodically would run dry. You can kind of, right there, that A. It's kind of periodically running dry, and I sometimes would have to shake it give it a moment, shake it to get the ink to come down. And sometimes I just could not get it to go and would have to actually pop off the barrel and force ink through the feed to get it going again. And that was not a one-time event. That was like a sometimes event, which obviously is disappointing. I do think that, as I said, this pen is just dumping ink. I went through my first converter fill of this pen in no time at all compared to my usual ink consumption rates, and I wasn't writing more than I usually do. Okay, so all in all, when this pen is working, which during this writing sample, actually, it has performed better than average, I would say. I have had a lot less trouble during this session than I have had in the past week or so. But when it's working, it's an awesome, very different experience. This pen is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's too skippy and runs dry too frequently to be a reliable note-taking pen at work or at school. And so while I do think this is a great first attempt to revolutionize the modern flex nibs, and honestly props to Magna Carta for having the guts to do it, for the price and for a thing that's meant to be used as a tool, I really am going to have a hard time recommending this one for most people. It's just too unreliable. Now, if you've got a hunk of cash lying around and you're nib curious, go for it. I really doubt you'll regret it because it is such a different experience, very unique experience. But for the general intent of a fountain pen, for the vast majority of people, I just can't take on the liability of prescribing this one. It hurts my heart to say that because I really think this is a darn good attempt and very brave of them to do. But I think the feed isn't keeping up, maybe, like I said. I hope they take this back to the workbench. I really do. And maybe there will be another version of this in the future because they're so close to having this right. Just so close to having this right. And I would say, you know, better luck next time. So I'm just going to finish up this writing sample real quick here. You could see a little bit of kind of running dry there. Not too bad. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to show you a little bit of the flex just with a little scribble here. I don't know what people call this. All of us pen testers do this same pattern. I don't know if it has a name, but you can really kind of see some really awesome line variation there. And I'm not pushing hard. I mean, I'm not super brave when it comes to testing pens, but it is giving some really awesome line variation there. Sorry, try to show you there. You can see, you know, very wet, you know, dumping ink on the page, like I said. Yeah, and that's pretty much my rating sample for this guy. So hope you enjoyed that, and let's wrap it up here. All right, hopefully you all enjoyed my review of the Magna Carta Mag 600 fountain pen. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.